continue to declare this will happen. Like, God has not forgotten and I will not forget. Like, hope does not disappoint. You know, hope isn't an answered prayer the first time. Hope is to have faith in that promise regardless of however long it takes.
Welcome to Mommispace. My name is Brianna Bernhard, your hostess, and I am a new mom. I selfishly created this podcast to get some advice and inspiration from the moms in my community who are doing amazing things while raising their families. I've realized motherhood is hard, but knowing I'm not alone in this call makes all the difference, and I hope you feel refreshed as you listen. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome to Mommispace. I am here today with Leah Jaynes. Leah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Me too. Okay, so we kind of go way back, in that we met up in Redding, California at Simpson College through a mutual friend. And that was in like 2009, right? Something like that. Crazy. Anyways, since then, we've kind of reconnected on social media. Leah, you are in training to be a doula, right? At the moment?
Yes. I just finished my training and finishing up the last steps for certification.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, you were such an amazing, person for me, during my pregnancy because you, gave me some really incredible resources.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, like birth and all of that. Like I had a lot of fear going in, and because of your recommendations, I was freed from a lot of that. So
wow, that's awesome.
yeah,
Praise God.
I know, so cool. So, anyways, but you are a wonderful writer, and I don't. Do you have a blog? I don't know if you have a blog. But...
I do. It's not a I blog like once a week. It's whenever I feel it.
Okay, cool.
I write
Those
it.
are the best. Those are the best kind.
Yeah.
Right? But anyways, I just love reading what you have to say about motherhood, about different things, about raising your son and all of that. So I'm excited to talk to you today. But before we dive in, go ahead and just tell us a little bit about where you're located and about your family and day-to-day life.
Yeah. My name's Leah, and we moved here to Redding, California about a year and a half ago. It was kind of a long time coming. My husband had talked about moving here while we were dating, and I had a really hard sophomore year of college, just different things I don't want to go into publicly. But
yeah, that's
fine. But because of that, I had no desire to ever come back here. And my husband had a dream that we were going to move here. And I repeatedly told him, no, it was not going to happen. And the month we ended up finding out we were pregnant, I didn't know I was pregnant at the time, but God just did a lot in both my husband and I and completely changed my heart and provided resources for us to kind of say yes, I guess, to moving. So we just jumped all in and did everything we could to make it happen. And he finished his classes and everything. And we bought a house up here and moved when my son was 3 months old. So we have an almost 2-year-old, Judah Livingston, and he is the light of my life. He is everything I thought that he would be and more. And
wow.
Yes. Yeah, so we're here. My husband just applied for nursing school, and we're waiting for him to get in and kind of just living life in pursuit of doing medical missions. So that's kind of what we're doing. We're in that awkward waiting season, but yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I would love to hear kind of a little bit of your story, your journey into motherhood. And kind of how that was for you. Have you always wanted kids? And then kind of go into a little bit about what you're passionate about, maybe. I mean, Sounds
Yeah.
like motherhood and birth have become a passion of
Yeah.
yours, but I'd love to hear the story behind that.
Yeah. Um, for me, I motherhood has always been on my mind. I think as soon as I could even talk, it was like, oh, I want to be a wife and a mom. Like
Wow.
it's in my DNA. It's all I wanted to be and more. And so anything beyond that has kind of just been extra. Oh, I could pursue that if I wanted, but in the deepest part of my hearts, I just wanted to be a wife and a mom. um, I had a hard time as I got older, kind of thinking about the role of a mother. My mom and I had a really hard relationship. I'm the oldest. We had a really hard relationship. There's just a lot of hurt and brokenness. But we ended up, that relationship has been completely redeemed, and I love her like
Wow.
beyond means. And my son's actually with her right now, so I could like be
Oh,
alone in the house.
wow.
Just to have some alone time. So there's just a lot of healing that ended up happening, thankfully, before I ever became a mom, that I think that I needed to be able to
Mm.
carry. So I'm really thankful for that. But yeah, it's always been a huge heart of mine, and adoption has been a huge part of my heart as well. Growing up overseas, I was a missionary kid and a
Oh,
pastor's
wow.
kid, and so I I don't know. My mom loves kids, and so I think I that rubbed off on me, and so um I can't remember not wanting that. And so when my husband and I were engaged, it just became this. We had never talked about like, oh, when do we want to start having kids? We had just both said like, we want a big family, we have a heart for adoption, like we knew what we wanted, but we never had like talked about timeline about anything. And so all of a sudden it's like you're a couple months from getting married, and I'm like, oh, I want to start trying right away. And he's
Wow.
like, maybe in our 30s.
Oh my
And we were like
gosh.
20, we were like 21,
Oh
and I
my
was like, I remember just sobbing in the mall parking lot, being like, are we gonna have to break this off? Like, I'm
god.
not gonna wait 10 years to have children. Like, if there is a medical like problem where I can't have kids, that's different. But I just remember being so torn in my heart, like this is all I've ever wanted,
Wow.
and yet the person that I know for a fact I'm supposed to marry feels differently than me
Wow.
was really difficult. Like honestly, it was something I felt I had to lay down,
Mm.
that desire, because I knew that it stressed him out. He fully wanted me to be able to be a stay-at-home mom. He believed in the importance of that.
Mm.
But it stressed him out since he was in pursuit of becoming a nurse. So he was
Mhm.
working and doing school, and I was doing freelance makeup on the side. So we didn't really talk about it, but I just kept praying like, Lord, like change my heart or change his or make a miracle happen.
Wow.
And so yeah, we really, our first year of marriage, we hardly ever talked about it. And it was really difficult, but I remember praying and telling the Lord I always wanted to be a wife and a
Hmm.
mother, and I became a wife first, and I want to be able to do that and do that well.
Wow.
And so I kind of put all of my attention and focus in trying to make that work. We were both very broken people, very hurt. A lot of healing needed to happen, and has continued to happen the past few years. So that's where like my sole focus went in, and I feel like the Lord really honored that.
Wow.
Instead
Yeah.
of naturally I would choose to like complain, and I know that I did at times bother him about I don't want to wait 10 more years.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I had a beautiful relationship with my husband first.
That's so good.
So we focused on that, and I was having really bad health problems. I was in a place where I was unable to get pregnant, not because we were trying, but there's medical reasons. I had two specialists tell me I couldn't get pregnant, and so it was really hard, but we had total faith it would happen. And instead of falling under the, I would like to say, like, cursed words of those
Yeah,
doctors,
yeah.
I chose to step out of that and do some natural remedies. And I did acupuncture, and I
Wow.
prayed every time I did acupuncture. I blessed my body. I like spent that time praying over my body, blessing my body, rebuking any negative words. And we weren't doing it to get pregnant. I was doing it for other health reasons. But in a month, I was pregnant.
Oh my gosh, that's
We
amazing.
weren't trying, and so he's a total miracle. Absolute, like, I could just talk and talk about his conception and everything. It's just a complete miracle.
Wow.
And God had told me when I was, I think, in maybe freshman in high school, my first child was going to be a boy, and his name's going to be Judah. And he like showed me this picture of who he was. And so as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I know it's Judah. And here
Wow.
he is.
That is incredible.
Yeah. So that's my focus.
Yes. Oh, wow. Now, did you ever like think that you would pursue becoming a doula? Like, where did that come from?
Oh no, I didn't even know what a doula
Yeah.
was. um that really came once I was pregnant. When I was pregnant, I started out with like normal morning sickness, but it progressively got worse to the point where I ended up in the hospital, because I hadn't had any water or any food for 2 days,
Oh my
and I didn't
gosh.
even know 2 days had passed. Like,
Whoa.
I was so sick. And so was in the hospital. I got diagnosed with hyperemesis, which
Oh.
is like 1% of pregnancies, of course.
Wow.
And it was really difficult. My pregnancy with him was, it sounds silly, but it was kind of traumatic, with just, 39 weeks of constant nausea, vomiting,
Oh my
dizziness.
word.
I was on bed rest the last month and a half. Like, it was just
Oh
really
my
difficult
gosh.
for me and my body. Um, and so in that time, I, um, I don't know, somehow it switched to me getting excited about labor. Because for
Mm.
some reason I thought, oh, you're supposed to be excited while you're pregnant, and then you're supposed to be fearful when you give labor. Like, when
Mm.
like you give birth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that just seemed like that's what women talk about, and we
Right.
tell women you're pregnant, they tell you your horror stories
Right. Oh my gosh.
of labor, but then they tell you, oh, it was so amazing. I love to feel him kick and blah blah blah. And I just felt like, okay, no one told me about this. No one told me I'd be 28 weeks pregnant and still puking. Like,
Wow.
this isn't what I thought. So, is it possible that labor could be different? Like, could I
Yeah, yeah.
experience something different than what people have shared with me? And just kind of like breaking off those cursed words of what the doctors had said before. I'm like, you know what if I remove all that negativity, all those curse words over labor,
Wow.
over a woman's body? Because I feel like that is the most holy, sacred, like a baby, just thinking about it, like a baby coming out of a woman,
Yeah.
whether like cesarean or vaginal, like it blows
It's
my
amazing.
mind.
Yeah.
Still, it's just
So
like God
amazing.
is so
Oh,
creative. So he wants to empower us. So of course the devil wants to come and bring fear.
yeah.
And so that was my thing of, it was a constant battle during pregnancy to choose joy. Try and get out of the house or whatnot. And so I just made it my mission to change my own thoughts about labor. And that's gotten me to the point now where I want to change everyone's mindset about labor, regardless of how it happens, how long it is, etc. It's just, I had beautiful labor with him. And I feel it's because
Wow.
I was able to work through a lot of those fears that Satan has instilled in us. And just especially with social media and like YouTube, seeing like scary things,
Oh my
it's really
gosh.
easy to get stuck in that trap of, this is what it is, and it's scary and awful, and your body can't do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just got me really passionate, and it was a dream I had, but I'm a stay-at-home mom, so it's actually been a struggle for me to pursue things that I'm passionate about
Yeah.
because I stay at home with my son and
Right.
my husband works a lot, so it's just me and him, and we are still, making friends here in Reading. Don't have family here,
Oh
so
wow.
um it's been a journey, and God just placed this opportunity to get trained right in my lap. It was what we could afford. My husband was able to get it off work. It was through an amazing nonprofit missions organization called Go
Wow.
Midwife. So I met like the most amazing godly women, and honestly those 3 days I cried like so much,
Oh.
just feeling like, wow, God, you do honor us when we choose to seek what you want
Yep.
first. Like,
Yep.
you don't forget those things that we're also passionate about. It's really easy to become almost like focused and this is what I want. God, why aren't you answering?
Wow.
Actually, Bill
Yeah.
just spoke about this at church yesterday. But if he's not answering or speaking to what we're talking about, what we're wanting, maybe to remain silent and
Wow.
say, God, what is it you want? Remain focused and, okay, what can I pursue? What does he want? What can I do in this moment? But continue to declare this will happen. Like, God
Yes.
has not forgotten and I will not forget. Like, hope does not disappoint.
That's right.
Hope isn't an answered prayer the first time. Hope is a continual, like, to have faith in that promise, regardless of however long it takes. So I feel
Mm.
very thankful that I am a doula now, that I have people, messaging me, wanting me. I feel honored and grateful, but I still want to hold to that gift that he's given me of motherhood. And I
Yeah.
don't want to forget that, just like I don't want to forget the honor and gift it is to be a wife. That was my first,
Yes.
role of being able to be Jesus, then a
Yes.
mother and then a doula. So,
Wow. That is
yeah.
so amazing. Now, you had said earlier that you and your husband are like passionate about missions, right? Now,
Yeah.
what does that look like for you guys? Like, there's so many things that I'm like thinking of right now. Like, what?
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
this is amazing. Like, I want to ask you so
Oh.
many questions. But what do you like? What do you guys dream about in regards to missions? And sounds like you guys are like the perfect team.
Oh.
Like, and I mean, just even thinking practically, like, he's a nurse, right? Or training to be a
He's
nurse.
yeah, he's waiting to get into nursing school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. Missions has always been my heart. I knew I wanted to be a wife and a mom, and I knew I wanted to travel overseas. I have a
Mm.
huge heart for orphans and widows
Yes.
and single mamas and broken marriages and broken people. And basically, that's, the whole world.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many opportunities to serve. And so that's been my heart. I grew up overseas in Costa Rica and Chile, and I
Wow.
moved to the States when I was 6. So my dad's a third generation missionary to
Oh my
Chile.
gosh.
Yeah, so my
Wow.
family has been in Chile for almost we were there for almost 100 years, like dating
No
all the way to
way.
my great grandparents.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that just gave me chills.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so it's part of who I am. It's what I love. I love cultures, I love people, I love learning from them. I think it's really easy here in America America to get wrapped up in. We know all the answers. We know what's best because, we have the highest education or like we do things right or whatever, to forget that, oh my word, they have so much knowledge about things that we don't even think about. I could go on and on about just things that are just, oh, that'll like blow your mind.
Wow.
But yeah, that's always been my heart. My heart's been for Africa. And that's something that I think came from my mom. My mom was planning on being a missionary to Africa. I met my dad, and they ended up in South America. So I have a huge heart for Africa. I went there when I was in high school, and I was baptized in the source of the Nile River.
Oh
And
my
I remember
gosh.
when my leader, Zach, he's actually at Jesus Culture in Sacramento now,
Oh,
but
cool.
he, when he lifted me up out of the water, I remember him telling me, like, you're home. And I just
Wow.
lost it. And this feeling of like, this is what I was created for. So that's been my heart. But when I dropped out of college at sophomore year due to health problems, um, it was really, really difficult for me to ever think about traveling. I have had health problems my whole life, and it's really kept me from a lot, and it's brought a lot of fear into my life about being able to do anything because I fear, what if I get sick? What if this happens? And
Yeah.
especially if you're going to third world countries, you don't have the same resources available to you as you do if I just stay here in my house where it's safe and
Right.
comfortable and easy. So honestly, it's still a huge step for me. But I take it day by day. I don't even think or stress or worry about it because I know like my God's a God of miracles. So I know he'll provide a way or he'll give me the strength to do it. So um yeah, that was my heart. And so when I met my husband, I'd just gotten out of a really difficult relationship, and I was like, I'm done. I'm never going to get married. I can't do it. Like, I was so broken, so hurt. And he was super interested. And I told the Lord, if he's interested in missions, if he feels like you have directly spoken to him about going to Africa, then I'll allow myself to like maybe be interested.
Oh
Cause of
my
course I thought he
gosh.
was cute. Like you know, but and I thought this guy, there's no way. If you look at my husband and
Wow.
interact with him, you kind of just think like, oh, you're kind of the guy who'd end up like in San Diego surfing on the weekends, like just like the fun loving like guy that everyone wants to hang out with. And so there's no way that I thought, yeah, there's just no way. And it was, I think, maybe the third time we ever hung out. I overheard him having a conversation with some friends, and he's like, yeah, only heard the audible voice of the Lord where he like heard it clearly. One time in my life, I was in high school. I was driving to a friend's house, and I heard the Lord say, Africa. Like, I have a future for you in Africa. And he
No
said it like
way.
stopped me in my tracks. He's like, I didn't grow up that way. I didn't even know God could speak to you that way. And I lost it. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
what? And so, yeah, we started dating like really soon after, and that's been our whole focus. But it has changed a lot, especially when you're in a season of that's not something that you can make happen tomorrow. So
Yep, yep.
honestly, it's definitely a journey in this very like waiting season, but I know that he's cultivating and preparing us. So that's our heart, and we're very intentional now, especially since we've had our son. We've realized how easy it would be to get sucked into, we can just stay here, you'd be a nurse, you'd make great money, we're making friends here. Oh, our kids could play soccer. And not that like this is the school they could go to, or we could do this. And not that that's bad, but we want to
Yeah.
honor what the Lord has spoken to us about and pursue that until it becomes a point of like, okay, no, that's not the path for us
Yeah.
right now. So we've had to be incredibly intentional. And that's why I'm really outspoken about our heart for Mozambique. We're right now partnering with Tracy Evans, and that's our heart, is eventually after
Wow.
my husband finishes school to be with her. But it's because I want the accountability. I don't want to sit in my life saying, "Oh, God, talk to me about this." But if I just sit here and it doesn't happen, and I'm the only one who knows about it, it'll be okay. I want to
Wow.
live my life. We've got one life, and I want to be able to live it like the fullest and richest I can. And that means being in a place of like vulnerability, which is really
Yes.
hard because it produces those thoughts of, well, what if it never happens? What if we look like failures? What if blah, 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 blah? And it's no, that's not how we were created to live in that what if. We don't even know what's happening, but I want to honor what God's called us to, and we are taking steps for it. We're doing a missions intensive training this May. So I think for us,
Wow.
it's honoring the Lord by being vulnerable, sharing with others and not just ourselves. It'd be easy to
Yeah.
keep it secret. So we're vulnerable in being able to share with others how we're thinking, how we're feeling, continuing to engage our hearts with what He is doing, learning about Mozambique, learning the language, learning about the people, staying in contact. I think that's something, regardless of what it is in life you're pursuing, if you keep your heart slowly engaged, even if you're not fully committed. We're not living overseas right now, but I can still be committed to pursuing that here. There is a way to pursue your
Yeah.
dreams and desires without being fully in that place, but it takes a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just very intentional with it.
Wow. Well, one thing is clear to me at this point in our conversation, and that is that you are a woman of courage and strength.
Oh.
And I honestly, I just feel like really inspired by you and the way that you have pursued those things that you feel called to. And it sounds like, and you kind of mentioned this, but you are really intentional and aware of the long game, right? Like
Yeah.
there's something that you really want, but it's gonna not necessarily come so quickly. And I love the things that you and your husband have done to keep those things in front of you. And
Mm.
yeah, I don't know. It's just really inspiring as I'm stepping into a similar journey at the moment. But I just wanted to ask you, like, how, like, what are some like practical things that you do to stay inspired and to kind of manage your time with those things in mind? Like, how do you
Mm.
pursue those things and practically like make sure you're present at home and with your husband?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you share a little bit about that?
That's good. Honestly, it's something I'm still working on. I am very much like a futuristic thinker.
Mm.
Or I'm like dwelling in the past,
Yeah, I
like,
feel you.
oh, I shouldn't have done that, or I should have done this different, or whatever.
Uh,
It's really, really hard for me to be present and like fully enjoy it without even being present and not thinking like, oh, what does this mean for the
yeah,
future?
yeah,
But
totally.
actually sitting and being like, this is amazing. It's come through a few different paths. My husband and I, we really desired to have a big family, and so we kind of thought like, okay, once we start having a kid, let's just boom, 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 have them all, that. And so once I had my son, automatically, my husband and I were already thinking about, let's have another one. Like, I'm not even kidding. That's the first thing he said after I
Wow.
pushed out my son
Oh
was,
my
he
gosh.
was he was crying, and he leans over and he's like, I want another one. And
Oh
at that
my
moment
word.
it was like, okay, I'm going to need a couple months. But yeah, I think that's when we both kind of realized we're missing out on right now because we're so excited about what could happen that we're missing out
Yeah.
on, the reality of what is happening right now. We have no idea. I think my parents are really big inspirations for me. My parents fully intended to be overseas, especially my dad. Like, I think he intended to be there forever back in Chile because that's where he grew up and lived the first 11 years of his life. But for unforeseen circumstances, we moved back when I was 6, and now he's a pastor of a Mexican Spanish church
Wow.
in Chico, California. And he still to this day is like, I never would have pictured my life here, but it's exactly where God wants me.
Wow.
And so it's like, I don't want to miss out on those gems and jewels if I'm so focused on that end game that I forget what's here and now. And so it's come through pain. We've had difficulty getting pregnant. And I'm vocal about it. It's not something that I'm ashamed of because I know that my body is beautiful and redeemed. Um, but it has been hard. And so that's something that's really made my husband and I have to focus on, okay, we had this picture of this is what our future would look like. This is time wise how everything would pan out. We're just kind of like, we just want to make things happen. We want to be
Yeah.
in Africa already. Like, so let's have the kids, let's do nursing school. But it's nursing school is a wait process.
Yeah.
For him, he has to wait about a year and a half or two before he gets in. So it's, what do we do
Wow.
with this next year and a half or two? It could go really fast and we could waste it, or we could invest in people. We could invest in our son. We could invest in like connections. We could invest in our marriage. Now I'm doing the doula course, so I'm trained. I can invest in that. So there's things that happen in that waiting time that prepare you that you never would have gotten if
Yeah.
you had your answer right away, or if you were thrown in right away. And there's still parts of me that I know are not prepared for all God has for me. And I know I have what I need for right now. So I know there's a reason we just have our one son. And so there was one day I was laying with him while I was putting him down for a nap, and just started crying, looking at him because I just apologized. I am so sorry. I've been so focused on having your future sibling that I forget to enjoy you. Like, I only get this day. He turns 2 in March and it goes so fast. And I don't want to forget that. But at the same time, I want to be an inspiration to him that I didn't let my life pass me by because I was waiting.
Wow.
So I've found little things that I could do here and there to keep me inspired. I've broken off a lot of negative words I've said over myself about creativity. I believe everyone is creative. I mean, just think about
Yes.
the clothes you put on in your mind. That's a creative process. How you choose to do your hair, if you wear makeup, if you don't, how you do it, jewelry, accessories, how you decorate your house. There's things that we don't even think about that our creative process is, how you write and how you choose to like format things. Like, we all are like created in the image of the most amazing creator. And
Yeah.
so what can we do but create?
Totally.
And so that's been a process. I started doing macrame,
Oh, very cool.
which is fiber art and similar to like weaving. And so I started doing that, and I got connected with some other macrame artists in the area, and they're amazing godly women. And it's been really amazing to see how even in that process of, I'm just sitting in my living room with my son, like making a macrame piece for a friend or something, but how it brings up emotions in me. It makes me have to think, or if there's a doubt in my mind of, oh, I don't like this piece, I'm just going to stop. Why am I
Yeah.
choosing to stop? Why am I choosing to believe that this isn't good enough? And so there's things that I know macrame really doesn't feel like I'm changing the world, but I'm changing the world by renewing my mind and
Come
choosing
on.
to believe what
Yes.
he says is true. And so I really don't think that whatever you choose to do is small. in the kingdom. You know, I'm a makeup artist, and it's really easy to feel like I have the most superficial job you could have. Like, you know,
Oh my
I'm just
gosh.
putting makeup on people, covering up their faces. But at the same time, the amazing conversations I've been able to impart on for women on their wedding day, I
Oh,
feel like what a blessing, what an honor it is to be able to have this seat to speak honor and peace into a woman on the like biggest day of her life. So I think honestly, start doing something that you feel joy in,
yes.
and then notice your thought patterns, what it is that you think about yourself, how does it make you think about other people, and start to renew yourself and your mind. Love yourself well, especially as a mom.
Yeah,
Really
come
learning
on.
to love yourself well in your words and your actions, all that. So yeah, that's kind of, you know, we're not in Africa right now, but there's things I can be doing. So we meet with Tracy Evans when we can. I do the doula course, we'll do the missions intensive training, and I do macrame and makeup. And for me, it feels good. It feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to because I know that I'm seeing a difference in myself. I'm seeing a difference in my actions. I'm seeing a difference in my thought patterns, which I know will only produce like good fruit in the
Yeah,
future.
yeah. Oh, yes. Good words. Going after what makes you joyful and
Yeah.
yeah, that's so good. And I'm just thinking about the fact that like patience in our culture is so
Mm.
like foreign, really, which is
Yep.
so interesting. And we as mothers experience it on a whole new level. It's like we're forced to remember what patience is, you know, like
Yep.
even if we don't want to. So I love this idea of taking care of your heart in the small things, like and being still and being present and you know, taking care of those places that that usually just get ignored because it's so
Yeah.
easy to get access to whatever we want. We can order something on
Yep.
Amazon and have it 2 days later, which
Yep.
praise the Lord for that, right? When it comes to, you know, diapers or
Yes.
whatever. But I just really appreciate that perspective on being still and
Hmm.
doing what gives you joy. Yeah, because
Yeah.
that is like, I think that's totally the Lord's intention too.
Oh
He's like,
yeah.
hey, there's a lot of fun things you can tune into right now in this season of waiting or whatever it is. In
Yeah.
addition to like growing your character, like, do you want to play? Like, I really feel like
Yes.
that's his
Yes.
heart, you know? So that's so good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd love to ask you, have you experienced mom guilt? And if so, how do you overcome that?
Mm. I totally have. The first thing that pops into my head is I just financially, we're in a season where we're totally like making it every month, but we don't have we're working on like paying off debt and stuff.
Yeah, totally.
But we're not in a season where it's like, oh, but we can go on this big trip, or we can go here, or we can go there. And Mason and we really wanted like, okay, every few years, let's go to a new country with our kids.
Mm,
Like we want that to be part of their childhood. We want that it's important to both him
yeah.
and we want it to be integral in their childhood. And kind of this feeling of like, I'm being a bad mom because I'm like, I can't do what I said I wanted.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like, um, just the opportunities I had to travel so much overseas as a kid, to grow up bilingual, like all these things that I just feel are like, oh no, I'm like, he's gonna look back on his childhood and feel like it was
Oh.
so boring.
Oh.
Like our town's less than 10,000 people. Like there's nothing to do here. You know? So definitely felt a lot of like personal mom guilt, feeling like I'm not providing the right childhood. And I just feel like when I think back to my childhood, it was amazing that I got to travel so much, that I got to live abroad, that my parents are so passionate about other cultures and indigenous tribes. And I love that. But my childhood and growing up wouldn't be the same if my parents hadn't been as passionate about the Lord and Holy Spirit as they are. Everything they do and did was about the Lord. I remember, I don't even know what anniversary, one of their anniversaries, they went to like a conference, I think at the Toronto Airport Church.
Wow.
Like that was what they wanted. I'm like, you could have gone to Hawaii or like
Wow.
the beach. And they're like, no, we just want more of the Lord. And they get trained in whatever they need to be able to experience freedom. My father is gifted with so much wisdom, and my mom is one of the most like amazing godly servant women. And so I just think back, yeah, it was amazing I got to travel a lot. It was amazing that, you know, XYZ, but fundamentally my child would not be what it is if my parents didn't have everything revolve around the Lord, and have us be a part of that. My dad was very intentional with having my mom and my sister and I be a part of the church. We were part of the worship team. We did Sunday school. My mom was allowed to take the microphone if she had something to say.
Wow,
Like,
that's so good.
you know, like the power of having women involved in church as well. And so I feel very grateful, very thankful, that, you know, it wasn't weird for us to all sit and pray together as a family, or to do treasure hunts together when we traveled in an airport, or just to go up, like my dad will just go up to someone in the grocery store who's hurt and he'll go ask if he can pray for them. Like it was
Wow.
natural for my parents. It's natural for my family to dinner conversations, to talk about hearing Holy Spirit, to talk about miracles, signs and wonders. And so I think the only way I feel like I could like hurt this season isn't by not traveling or, you know, providing all the things I wish I could that society says a child needs, you know,
Yeah.
but is not fully stepping into all God has for me. You
Wow.
know, it's almost like this selfish, like if I'm the best I can be, if I'm as full as I can in who he is and who he says I am, then you know, I'm doing everything he's called me to at that moment. And so that's kind of like where my focus has been, in like writing out that guilt of I want to provide him a spiritual atmosphere of freedom, to feel that, you know, whether we ever go overseas or not, we don't know. Our life plans could change. So as long as I'm focused on the Lord and providing that for him, that to me, that's all that I try to focus on.
That is so good. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you hear the word legacy, speaking of what you want to leave to your son and your future kiddos, what is it that you think about? Like, what's the thing that resonates with your heart when you hear legacy?
Yeah, I think faithfulness. The past few years just really been soaking in understanding that the Lord is faithful. And I think legacy, I think it means me resting in a place of being faithful to what he's called me to, regardless of what that looks like. And so I could very much try to create a future and a plan of what I feel like would be good for my children. But if it's not what he has for me, I don't want it. So I just want to lean into everything he has for me. And that's where the mom guilt oftentimes can come creep in.
Yeah.
With, you know, my great grandparents were from Norway and went to Peru, into the jungles.
Wow.
And like I've been able to meet people, my husband and I were able to go to Peru and actually meet generations of people who are now believers because my great grandpa and his brother went into the jungles and ministered, you know, like left their families. Like, you know, my great grandma was alone with her children somewhere in the Amazon,
Wow.
while my great grandpa was out ministering. So my grandpa was head of the Christian Missionary Alliance over South America,
Oh,
and he was a
wow.
missionary. Like my last name Volstead is very well known, um, and I'm so proud of that. But it's really easy to feel like, but I don't live up to that.
Wow,
But
yeah.
that's what God called them to. That's what their
That's
legacy
so
looked
good.
like. So what does my legacy look like? So I want to create a legacy that God's called specifically to me, Leah Jaynes, and not compare. Because I think that's where we lose sight of things, is the comparison. And
Yeah.
it's all important, it's all beautiful, and it's all wonderful. So I just want to remain faithful to what the Lord has called me to in whatever season
That is
I'm
so
in.
good. Yes. Yes. Amen. Leah, this has been so great, and I'm sad we have to wrap it up. But is there a place that people can get connected with you if they're in your area or just on social media? Like, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. I'm usually on there the most. I do have a blog, but honestly, I only use it for like occasional, like spur of the moment. It's 11:30 at night and I need to get something out.
That's so good.
But yeah, you can find me at Leah Jaynes on Facebook and Instagram, and I also have a separate account called Labor of Love,
Oh,
which I
yes.
use for ministering for conception, pregnancy, birth, all that, just for redemption in that area.
That is so good. We'll add the links for those things then.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so I wanted to wrap up with a couple fun questions. The first being, is there a favorite product for yourself or for your kiddo that you at this point would be like, it would be hard to live without this?
Right now, for myself, I would say jojoba oil.
Oh,
It's
wow.
been like life-changing for my skin. I have really, really sensitive, acne-prone skin, and with hormonal changes of everything, of like pregnancy, labor, postpartum, breastfeeding, all
Yeah.
that, my skin just went wacko. And so I've been using jojoba oil, and today my acupuncturist was like, "You look so healthy." And I'm wearing
Oh,
no makeup. And it was like the best day. I
that's
was like, I can
awesome.
do anything.
Oh,
So
jojoba
definitely
oil.
that.
Okay, what is
Yeah.
that? What is that exactly?
It's like a natural oil, and it's not like coconut oil. I find coconut oil clogs my
Me
pores, and actually,
too. I've
yeah,
been looking
yeah.
for something that's like, because I have really dry skin. So I'll have to check that out.
Yes, definitely do it. I love it. I love it. I slather it on my face
Do you have
and
like
wear it
a
on.
specific brand that we could link to the show notes for people too if they're interested?
Yeah, yeah. Let me grab it. I got it on Amazon. You want to make sure that you get like the organic, the only, with no filler. I use, what is it? Kate Blanc jojoba oil. It's certified organic. You can get it on Amazon.
Cool. Yay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then do you have something for your boy?
No. The beginning newborn stage was really hard for me. So honestly, the Gerber Soothe probiotic drops, could not live without those. That was like a huge lifesaver for us in the newborn stage. So if I had to offer like a specific child product, my husband and I right away will be like, don't forget the Gerber Soothe drops.
So, next question would be do you have a favorite holiday tradition with your family that you'd like to share?
Oh gosh. I was actually like just thinking about this, and no. We don't.
That's awesome.
I am not really like, I love holidays and I love celebrating, but I don't want to get so wrapped up in it that I love Christmas, but I don't want to forget what Christmas is really
That's
about.
good.
Or like same with Easter or like my birthday. I really don't like a whole day centered around me. Like I'd rather sounds so weird. I'm like, I'd rather be pampered like randomly throughout the year.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Like,
girl, get it.
hey, if I want to do this, like, I go do it. Or like, bring me a card randomly this day.
That's
You know,
so
love
good.
language, super
Oh,
important in
girl,
marriage.
same. Yeah, feel you.
But yes, also the thing with my husband going into the medical field and nursing, and he works at a hospital right now, is they are required to work on major holidays. Not
Oh,
every
wow.
holiday, but he will have to work. And so that's kind of been helpful in just knowing, like, okay, if there comes a season where we can't celebrate Christmas together as a family, it is not going to ruin our Christmas. It's not going to
That's
ruin
good.
our year.
Yeah.
You know, people who complain about, oh, I have to fly during this time. I'm like, oh my gosh, get over yourself. It's one day. Like, you can celebrate the next day. It's not
That's
about that
right.
specific day. It's about the people you're with. So I'm like, hey, if Thanksgiving's got to be pushed back a week because of whatever is going on, then we celebrate
That's good.
Thanksgiving a week later.
There you go.
Um, yeah, that's our that's our tradition, is do it when you can.
That is a great tradition. And I think that is a wise stance to live from, especially in those kind of situations. So good
Yeah.
on you. Good on you. Okay, cool. And then the last question would be just a piece of advice that you would give to a new mom.
Honest, I think really just believe in yourself and know that you're a good mother, like you're doing all you can. I think it's really easy with social media to compare,
Yeah, yeah.
just with what we're doing, how people are doing it differently, what people can provide for their children. It's really easy to feel like, I don't have that tool, or I don't
Yeah.
have that toy, or I'm not doing that, or I can't take my kid to Disneyland, or I can't,
Yeah.
XYZ, like I'm failing, or I can't get the cute, honest diapers because we got to get
Oh
the
my
cheapo
gosh,
one.
yes.
It goes back kind of to like the mom guilt. But for me as a new mom, I especially it hit me hard when like doing a baby registry. I just feel like, okay, do people in Asia really feel like this was detrimental to having a child? Like,
Yeah,
if
come
they didn't
on.
have this product, it was a make or break. Oh, okay, I can't be a mom. Like, I cannot raise a
Yeah,
child
yeah.
if I don't
So
have the
good.
Sophie the giraffe.
Yeah.
And which, by the way, totally love Sophie. But it makes you think, just what's important. Like, do I need this? And what am I doing to be able to enjoy the season in all it's created to be, and to celebrate with people that are able to do whatever they
Yes.
want with their children? Like, that's amazing that you got to take your family there, or that you get to do that. What a blessing, what an honor.
Yes.
But to remind yourself, like, this is what I can do for my family, this is what I can provide, and I'm doing a really, really good job.
That is so wise. Wise words again. Good stuff, Leah. Thank you so much for this. I'm hoping
Oh,
that
of
the
course.
people that hear this are as encouraged as I am, because this was just so good. So good to connect with you and hear your heart. I know there's probably like 50 other things we could talk about. And we might just have to do that. We might just have to have you on again. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I can't wait to share
Oh,
this.
of course.
Yes.
Of course.
All right. Come give me a kiss. I know you won't want this forever. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's show with Leah. If you want to learn more about her and maybe want to get in touch with her, ask her some questions in regards to pregnancy and birth, because I know she would love that, be sure to check out the show notes. And for those of you who don't know, when I say show notes, that is what shows up under the podcast on your mobile device. It kind of describes what the episode is. So there are active links there that will connect you to each of our guests for each of the shows, including today's. So be sure to check that out. Check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Mommispace. And I'd love to talk to you there. Tag us at #Mommispace if you've got some cool tips, or if you're a mom that wants to be featured. We'd love to see you, love to hear from you. And I'll always end with please be sure to leave us a rating and review if you enjoy this show. We would love to hear from you. This is a way that we can get the word out to more mamas and be more connected as a community. So if you need some directions on that as well, it will be in the show notes, as always. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed that. Bless you. You are enough, and you're doing your very best. See you next week, Mama. Steps, falling, catch yourself, it's all a part of it. Walking little steps.